Back again. I'm really sorry, folks, because I had to stop that original stream. So that link is gone, no longer there. So anyone who's been trying to join this live using the old link, they're going to fail, and you're going to just end up in that 3-minute long recording where I was frantically trying to get the orientation fixed, okay? But let's try and get you folks back on this live. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be checking now my MacBook to see if the orientation is actually vertical. Yes, it is. So, God only knows. Thank you for joining. Yeah, God only knows what the hell happened here, but these are technical glitches that happen to anyone who, especially those folks who are trying to do this for the first time. And since this is my first YouTube live, right? Yeah, I'm not surprised it happened, and I'm really excited to be back. I've been gone for a good few years, and yeah, I've been gone for 7 or 8 years from this English Harmony channel because a lot of things happened in my life. A lot of things happened, and yeah, what I think I should be doing now, I should send another email to you guys because a lot of you are on my mailing list. So I sent an email to everyone who I can reach to join this live. So now that we have a new live stream going, I'm just going to send a quick follow-up email, okay? Because I think that'd be just fair. I don't want a lot of people coming to the old live stream, which is now ended. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to be trying to, you know, to talk about stuff. Okay. But I can't really multitask. I can't talk and do things at the same time. I'm not a woman. Women are great at that, right? Not men. Okay. This is going to be real quick. Real quick. I'm just going to copy that old message and just resend it with the new link. Okay. Now, let's just edit it real quick. Okay. It's going to be real quick here. Okay. Now let's just ensure that that link is correct. These are just teething aches, as I call them, right? Just teething pains. As I'm starting my broadcasting stage on YouTube, these types of technical glitches are expected. Okay. Right. Sorry guys, technical glitch. Please use this new link for the live. Robbie Live, corrected link. Please join now. All right. And now let's schedule that message and get it out there. Okay, so the message is going out. Hopefully someone else will join. And in the meantime, let's get started, right? So, where have I been for the last 8 years or so? A lot of things have happened in my life. I started a career because I thought, why don't I use the English language that I worked so hard to improve and get to the place where I feel like I can speak with a native like fluency, right? Why don't I use that language skill and start a career? Because I was frankly burning out. I was handling my day job, my family duties, and my English harmony business and everything, and I felt like I was getting nowhere, right? I was spreading my energy everywhere, spreading my resources very thin, and I was at a point where I was like, listen, something fundamental needs to change in my life. I'm tired of this, trying that, getting nowhere, and I decided that I would start a career, okay? So I decided to go into IT, and that was at this point 8 or 9 years ago, right? And ever since then, I started a successful IT career in the corporate world, right? And I was, and I still am working in that IT industry, right? And I kept struggling. You see, I was trying to find that holy grail, the success, the happiness. And at various stages in my life, I thought that I needed this thing and then I would be happy, right? Initially, when I came to Ireland, everything and the only thing that I could think of is money. I just need more money because that's going to make me happier, right? I came from a country where I was struggling a lot. My native country is Latvia. And at the age of 23, I came to Ireland. Now I'm in Spain, but that's a different story, right? Since last year, or actually the year before, yeah, I live in Spain now, but I lived in Ireland for 20 odd years. And in my country, I was struggling a lot, and I was blaming everything else. I was blaming the environment, the people, the system, and everything. I didn't see that everything starts within me, right? So I was blaming everything. And when the opportunity came up for me to move to a foreign country to start making more money, I just went for it, right? So when I went to Ireland and I got my first paycheck, then I realized, wow, like this is great. The money that I got for a week's work was worth more than I was making a month, back in my country. Yeah, so I was like, this is now going to be the good life. I just want more money. I was fixated on that, and I thought that money would make me happier. And then soon enough, I realized that my English skills, especially my spoken English skills, weren't up to standard to be anywhere near to be considered as a good candidate for a decent job. So I started working in the manual laboring type of jobs, right? I was working in a warehouse. And in parallel, soon enough, I started working really hard on my spoken English. Initially, for the first few years, I was doing all the quote-unquote wrong things. I was studying grammar excessively, reading, writing, doing all of those sort of things that didn't really improve my spoken ability. And I was going nuts. I didn't realize what was going on, right? But my line of thought was, if I can improve my English fluency to a point where I can get a better job and start a career, then I'm going to be golden. Then I'm going to be good. Then I'm going to be living the good life. I'm going to have twice as much money coming in or 3 times as much money coming in. And then I'm going to be happy and content and everything is going to be good, right? So I thought at that point in my life that I want more money and that's going to make me happy. That's pretty much what I thought. And English, to me, was a vehicle of getting there, okay? So, a few years on, I started my English Harmony project because I was also trying to find that, that happiness, that extra factor of satisfaction, that meaning of life, I was trying to find it in business. I thought, hey, maybe I could, start a side gig, a side hustle, an online gig, a business or something, make more money. And that thought was very appealing to me. And I had a friend back then who was going through the same, same path in life, and he became very successful, and I started following in his footsteps. And then I thought, hey, this struggle with my English, with my fluency, with the spoken language, is probably something that a lot of other people have. And then I realized that many of us foreigners who have been learning the English language the traditional way struggle to speak fluently, right? So my own struggle with the language became my online venture, English Harmony, right? And I started helping others with my advice, with all the tips and tricks on how to speak fluently. And ultimately, I created the product, the English Harmony system, which is still up and running to this day. So it's been 15 plus years since it's available for you guys. But I took it down because I'm no longer focusing on the spoken English aspect, on the technical aspect of the spoken English fluency improvement. That's not my primary focus at this point anymore, but we'll get to that later, right? So I started that project. I started English Harmony, and then I thought, this is what I need. My mind was perfect at finding the next big thing that's going to make me fulfilled, complete, and happy. And I thought, I have to go for it no matter what. I want to become a full-time entrepreneur, okay? And I started working really hard on the English Harmony project. I was blogging, I was vlogging, and I created another website, accentadventures.com, which was geared towards the accent acquisition. So I had this idea that I could teach you guys how to speak with an American accent and also a British accent. And I had all these projects going, and I had my full-time job and my family, and I always felt like I was, running on empty. I was trying, but I never managed to get to the point where I could comfortably just live off of the English Harmony income. I didn't realize back then that I'm sabotaging myself. I was only fixated on the lack of something, on the lack of finances, on the lack of success, on the fact that I'm doing all these projects, but the money coming in isn't growing exponentially. It's not reaching the point where I can quit my full-time job and just comfortably live off of my online income. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that everyone else who was successful had something innate within them that made them superior. And I felt like an imposter. And that's the so-called imposter syndrome, where you feel not good enough. No matter what you do, there's always someone better than you, and you just work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, and still you're not really getting where you want to be. And it's an awful feeling. It really saps your life, your life energy out of you. You feel like you're not a proper person. You feel like something is wrong with you. And then I was having these ups and downs, these terrible ups and downs. I had weeks where I was performing very well and things were going fine. And then, sooner or later would come a point where I would just stop. I was procrastinating for weeks. I would be just lying in the bed. I was I was sitting in front of my laptop trying to do something and going mad, not being able to do anything at all. And again, I was like, what's wrong with me? And on top of all of that, I was having a lot of, addictions. I was addicted to food, to alcohol, you name it, smoking, drinking coffee, just to stimulate my nervous system. I was actually thinking that I was calming myself down, right? That's what every smoker thinks, but it's the nervous system that's running very, very, in an overdrive, close to its limits, demanding that you keep stimulating it even more and more, just to feel that you're alive, just to feel that things are happening. And in such a state, I lived throughout, all of those years when I was trying to, run the English Harmony and manage my life to the best of my ability. And then came this point when I was like, this is it. I'm calling quits. I cannot be my own boss because clearly I'm struggling, and I've been struggling like that for years. And I just want to go into the corporate world, and I want to finally, start a proper career and feel at peace and feel content, okay, and feel happy. That's what I wanted. And then I went into it with all the, the best intentions, with this zeal, with this resolution that I'm gonna make the best out of it. I'm gonna give it 100%. So I started studying, and I was really good at it because I was studying really hard. And then when I got my first job, I was over the moon, and then I got my second job. I was growing, in the industry, in the IT industry. I was over the moon because I had what I wanted to have. I had a stable job, I had a good income. But did I obtain that peace that I was longing for so much? Well, not really. In retrospect, when I look back, I was even more anxious than before, because now that I was competing with other people in my job, and there were always people better than me, always people smarter than me, I felt more of an imposter than ever before. I started doing exams, these IT certifications. I started off as a networking guy, and then I moved into the IT storage, and I started doing all of these exams one after another, just in a bid to become smarter, become like that guy, because he's really good. I was putting everyone else on a pedestal, and I felt like a loser. And on the outside, I felt, when I was chatting with other people, right, and I was telling them that I was having these, problems with my confidence, and that I felt like someone else is better than me, everyone else was saying, hey, that's nonsense, that's BS, you're really good, Rob. But deep down inside, there was something inside of me that never felt good enough, no matter what I did. And so I just kept doing extra, kept doing more. I was working long hours, I was doing overtime, and I was slowly but surely reaching a point where I would burn out. Not that I knew that, because I was just doing my best that I could back then with that level of awareness that I had, okay? And yeah, a good point to make here is that a lot of us immigrants who come from other countries, and then we move to English-speaking countries, or any other country where we have to, live in an environment where we didn't grow up, speak a different language, it's like extra hard. There's like an extra layer of expectation that we put on ourselves for the most part, not so much others. We have to perform just to be on a par with the locals, and then we have to be even better just to prove that we're worthy, right? So this immigrant syndrome was the extra reason why I was working and trying extra hard. And a lot of other things happened in my personal life. A lot of other things happened. And then I met my current wife, which was a life-changing moment, right? It's incredible. It's incredible how well we are together, you know, how we are the perfect fit for each other. And I could honestly say that I found the woman of my dreams, you know. We complete each other. And a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about in this video are really thanks to her, because she's been showing me the light, and she's been showing me what's possible by constantly trying to grow herself, and then I've been following her footsteps, right? So I met her, and I started basically a new family, a new life. And for the first while, you know, for the first time, I thought, this is it now. Now I'm happy, you know, now I'm happy. Now I have a new opportunity at life, you know. But again, this inner feeling that I'm not enough, that I'm not good enough, it was pushing me. It was constantly pushing me. You could say that it's a good thing, right? This immigrant's drive to achieve, to go for it, right? Never stop. You know, the desire to provide for the family, you know, to be the best that you can. You could say that it's a good thing. And in a way, yes, you know. Obviously, that's better than just sitting on a couch, drinking beer, watching TV, and doing nothing, right? Obviously. But everything taken to its extreme is not optimal, right? So for me, it was the extreme. I was constantly trying to do my best. And my nervous system just couldn't calm down. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. I used to go for runs at that time of the day, right? Early morning. And I was always trying to push the limits. I was listening to these podcasts, you know, about David Goggins, who runs for hundreds of miles and is a superhuman. And I was inspired. And then I remember this moment. We were still living in Ireland, and I'm running there early morning. It's still pretty much nighttime, right? And I'm running on these hills, and it's super cold. It was winter time. And then I jumped right into the sea. I started doing these, you know, cold showers, and ultimately swimming in the sea as well. So I would run and then jump straight into the water, all sweaty and all, into the ice cold water. I felt like a superhuman at that moment, you know, at the moment when it happened. But after that, I felt always on the edge, not enough, anxiety, stress. And the more time was passing by, the more anxious and stressed out I felt with all of these responsibilities and everything. I had this feeling as if the whole world is weighing on my shoulders, right? And I was also doing Wim Hof's breathing exercises, you know, to calm myself down, to go inside of me. You know, it's kind of a meditation type of thing, right? So I was doing all of that. And again, for a while, it helped. But ultimately, I always used to go back to the same issues that I was having, you know, anxiety, stress, anger outbursts, you know, having issues with my colleagues. In any job that I've ever had, you know, I've always had these toxic colleagues, you know, and it's a typical trend, right? The toxic colleagues in the corporate world, and what can you do about it, and all of that sort of thing. Now, the kind of person that I am now, I know what it's all about. It's I'll watch the video. Yeah, thanks for joining. And yeah, in pool, that's really nice. I have to wait for a few more months here in Spain till I can get into the pool. Yeah, thank you for commenting. And yeah, definitely check out the video later. Thanks a lot for that. So yeah, so no matter what I was doing, I was feeling more anxious over time. Okay. And by the way, you can check the, oh no, I didn't post that link in this chat. I posted it in the original video chat. Okay, so I'm gonna repost it here too. It's a report that I put together. How you can start looking inside of you and try and figure out what keeps you in this vicious burnout cycle. The same kind of cycle that I used to go through all the time. And that's a really handy report. You can just within a few minutes you can find out a lot about what happens inside of you in the 90% of your mind that you're not really aware of. Okay, and that's the main basically topic of today. All of this stuff that I've been talking about up until now leads to my big realization that me, the person that I'm aware of, right, Robbie Cookers, my full name is really Robert Cookers, but Robbie is what I've been going by for throughout all these years on my English Harmony project, so I'm just going to continue calling myself Robbie. So yeah, myself, me, I, yeah, Robbie, this person, yeah, this ego that is aware of itself. Oh yeah, thank you. Приветик, вам тоже. Yeah, greetings from Armenia. Thank you. And yeah, so I thought that I was running my life. I thought that I was, by and large, determining what's happening in my life. I didn't realize that there are a lot of other processes inside of me that are actually driving my life and determining the outcomes. So all of these ongoing failures and inability to be happy and get the results that I wanted, all of that were determined by my inner world that I was not aware of. Over the years, I was kind of, having glimpses of what's happening inside of me. I was becoming more self-aware. And it all really started from the point when I came to Ireland at the age of 23, right? That's when I realized that I had a real alcohol problem, right? A lot of young folks go out and have fun and have a few drinks and sometimes get drunk. It's kind of normal, in a lot of our societies. But I was really using alcohol as a way to comfort myself, and it was always quite extreme, right? And when I came to Ireland, then I realized that it's really a big issue. Okay, up until then, when I lived in Latvia, for some reason I didn't even see that as a major issue. I was just going through my life on a complete autopilot. So a lot of things changed at the age of 23, and then I started becoming kind of more self-aware. I became more aware of my shortcomings, of my issues, and then I started trying to improve. But despite all of my attempts, not much changed, you see? And back then, I didn't realize that the 95% of my brain, of my true being is hidden, and I can't control it. It's driving my life. And that 95% that I'm referring to is the subconscious mind. Okay? And you see, the thing is that we have all been okay, there's a comment. I'm really sorry, but I cannot. Okay. Did I look like a poor? Well, I haven't been told that, but now I have. Thank you. Whether it's a compliment or you're just laughing at me, I don't really care. Okay. So yeah. So where were we? This, the fact that your life is largely determined by your subconscious mind. That was one of those big realizations where my wife played a major role, and she was the one who pointed out that no matter what I'm trying to do, no matter how hard I'm trying to, work on it, ultimately I'm just going to fail. I'm going to burn out like I always have, periodically. And I have to start working on my inner world. And only then I'm going to be able to get somewhere, get the results that I really want, and obtain that inner peace that I had always been looking for, And that was something like 3 years ago. And ever since then, when I started going to specialists who helped me discover a lot about my inner subconscious patterns and those subconscious programmings, and helped me to deal with it and change the way I see things, the way I think, and ultimately the way I feel and the way I can react to things. Ever since then, my life has changed dramatically, radically. Finally, I have obtained that inner peace, that anxiety and all of that stress that I always had. No matter what time of day, whether early morning or late night, I always had that background stress, that noise, that humming, I couldn't be at peace. And that's the reason why I was trying to comfort myself. I was trying to escape it by all means possible, whether it was food or alcohol or working extra hard. A lot of us do, good, quote unquote, good and positive activities also as a means of escaping from ourselves. We work extra hard. We do sports extra hard just to quiet that inner voice, that anxious voice that's asking for something and you don't know what it is. And just to feel, calmer, you're doing all of these things. You're basically distracting yourself the whole time. You're trying to escape it, but you can't. And sooner or later comes a point in your life where there's a wake-up call. And for me, that wake-up call was the burnout about 3 years ago, where I had decided to start another project. And again, I felt like, running on empty. I was getting somewhere, but getting nowhere. I was working extra hard and then ultimately losing all my drive and motivation completely. Again, I was in a position, I clearly remember that feeling, living in my, lying down on my couch in the attic where I used to work. I had my home office there, and I was just lying there, and I felt totally empty, devoid of any emotion, listless, useless, small, insignificant, incapable. I felt like a nobody, and I couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. And shortly after, when I was sharing all of that with my wife, she said, "Listen, Robert, you have to start working with yourself, and seriously, for real, get good specialists." Because a lot of us, what we do when we work with ourselves, we read self-help books, we feel good about it, and I was doing that for years too. Shortly after arriving in Ireland, all those years ago, back in 2002, I discovered books about meditation, and I started practicing it, and I felt good because I did manage to calm that inner voice, that anxious voice. I managed to calm it down, and that made me feel good. And I was like, yeah, I want to be like that. I want to be this peaceful, calm Robert. That resonated with me big time. But I didn't know how much work there is to be done internally, how much there is to be discovered, how many tears there are to be shed, how much anger there is to be offloaded, because I kept it all inside throughout all of my childhood, my adolescent years, my adulthood, and that's why it was all trying to come out. It was like a constant ask for help by my inner self. Hey, acknowledge this problem, and try and do something about it. And ultimately I did. And I worked with really good specialists who helped me completely change the way I feel about myself, and by extension, about the world. Because the entire world is, believe it or not, it is an extension of your inner world. It's true. What you feel is going to manifest itself in the real life. If you feel anxious, if you feel stressed out, if you feel useless, if you feel hard done by, that's the life you're going to live, that's the reality you're going to experience, and those are the types of people you're going to attract. If you feel useless and hard done by, you are going to attract people that are going to use you, because it's a constant and ongoing lesson trying to finally make you draw the boundaries, start standing up for yourself. And up until you do, life is just going to keep hitting you hard. And again, it's all driven by your subconscious mind, by your subconscious programming. That's the biggest realization that I had those few years ago, right? No matter how much you're trying to draw the boundaries and deal with toxic people and, meditate and recite mantras and all of that, nothing's going to work, because it's all driven by those emotions that live inside of you. It's all part of the massive subconscious world that you have only a vague idea about. And then when I started working with the specialists, started undergoing the sessions, that's when things started changing for real. I started feeling that a lot of these emotions that I had no control over are now within my control. Now I could choose how to react or act, whereas previously I was just, on many occasions, I was a ticking time bomb, just waiting to be triggered by someone, and then I would just lash out without the ability of, even catching myself as it was happening. And I suppose a lot of us have had these experiences, right? And then we just go back and think, hey, why did I do that? Why did I have this argument? Why did I have this fight with my significant other? There was really no need. But we can't change at that point. We can't change the way we feel. When we feel resentful, when we feel belittled, when we feel like the other person is really treating us unfairly, that is something that's inside of us. It's not us. It's not that it's some kind of objective reality. When you're having a fight with someone, when I say a fight, I really mean an argument, right? Fight, that's how it's referred to by many native English speakers, right? So when you have an argument with someone, it's not that there is some kind of an objective reality. Black and white, this is right, this is wrong. Everyone has their own perspective. And everyone is right about what they think, really. Everyone has their own truth. So it's all about how you feel about it and what kind of an outcome you want out of it. Do you want to be fighting with your colleagues and feeling their toxicity, or you want to be able to just let go? Let them be that way. And guess what happens then? They stop bothering you. They don't feel as toxic as before, right? It's all about your emotions. It's all about how you feel about that, how you perceive things, right? So as I started realizing how these sessions help me, and how I can start feeling differently, experiencing life differently, that's when I realized what true happiness is about. True happiness is about your ability to regulate your emotions. Sure, sometimes we all have these moments, you know. All emotions are there for a reason. Sometimes we do get angry. Sometimes we do get emotional. But what I'm talking about is this extreme response, where we constantly feel like everyone is treating us badly, and I'm doing everything I can and they still don't deserve me. It's all actually internal. In reality, you don't feel like you deserve yourself. You don't appreciate yourself. You feel unworthy. And then those other people, they are just mirroring that feeling. You see that in others, but the source is always internal. So ever since I started working with myself and changed my life around, things started going much better. Now I'm a much calmer person, and I have obtained that inner peace that I wanted to have ever since I remember myself. And on this note, I think I'm gonna finish up this live. This is my first live on this channel. So it's been, like I said, 7 or 8 years since I stopped, and now I'm expanding my English Harmony project. English Harmony is no longer just about improving one's spoken English. It's no longer just about the English fluency. It's about your inner fluency. It's about how you flow, how your emotions flow, how your life flows. It's about what you really want out of life, and then you can actually go and get it. You came to this other country, you started a new life, and you are burning out. And what for? What are you really trying to achieve? What are you really pursuing? When you discover that true inner flow, things will start changing for real. I've seen it happen inside of me, and I witnessed it in many other people. So if you're interested, you are welcome to follow my channel, and I'll be going on such and similar lives quite often. That's the plan. And I'm going to be posting videos, and I'm going to be also posting on my blog about all of these topics, and especially things that are related to burnout and feeling like an imposter, because that's of particular importance to us foreigners who have moved away from home, and then we have to work extra hard to just get that new life going, build that future for us and for our kids, and provide. Yeah, so thanks who joined. Thanks everyone. And this live obviously is going to be saved here on YouTube, and you're going to be able to watch it later on. So thank you, and bye-bye.